I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. So, good morning to those of you out there. This your girl Tiffany coming through live in effect. Um, so normally I don't get up in the mornings and do videos, but today I want to go ahead and talk about a subject that's really brought up in conversations, and this subject deals with philosophy. And what subject am I speaking on? I'm speaking on Stoicism. The reason why I want to talk about Stoicism is because I want to give my point of view on how what did I learn from Stoicism and how it has helped me as an individual, how it helped me to be able to navigate through life and not live off of too much impulses, etc. Okay. So I'm gonna get into what Stoicism is first. All right, I'm gonna give you guys the definition and I'm gonna give you guys some books that you guys can read for yourself. But let's go into what is Stoicism and why do I admire this philosophy so much. Just give me a moment. Get ready to pull it up right now. All right, so this is a picture of one, the Greek philosopher. Okay, so now Stoicism is basically a Greek Roman philosophy, and Stoicism was a school of Hellenistic philosophy. It was founded in Athens by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BC. It concerns the active relationship between cosmic determinism and human freedom. This philosophy claims that it is virtuous to maintain a will, a determination, prohairesis, which is in accord with nature. And it goes on to talk about Stoic doctrine was popular in Greece and the Roman Empire. From its founding until all the schools of philosophy was ordered closed in 529 AD by the Emperor Justinian I, who thought their pagan character was at odds with his Christian faith. All right, so right here, it gives you the list of all the Stoic philosophers. Okay. And the most popular one is Marcus Aurelius. So, who was Marcus? Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor from 661 to 180. He ruled with Lucius Verus of Verus as a co-emperor from 161 until Verus' death in 169. All right, so not to really get into all the details of this, basically Marcus Aurelius, excuse me, I'm just waking up, and many other Greek philosophers, they used the concept of Stoicism, right? Because many of them were into like battles and wars, and this was the time when Greek and Romans was doing a lot of wars and battling. So it was pretty much necessary to have this philosophy around, this school of thought. Now let me show you guys the other information here. All right, I'm just trying to see where I want to start. So anyway, it says sources of our information on Stoics. Since the Stoics stress the systematic nature of their philosophy, the ideal way to evaluate Stoics' distinctive ethical views would be to study them within the context of a full explosion of their philosophy. Okay. Then it goes on to say, however, we meet with the problems about sources of our knowledge about Stoicism. All right, so let's look at philosophy of life. They'll probably give it more explanation. Philosophy in life. When considering the doctrine of the Stoics, it is important to remember that they think of philosophy not as an interesting pastime or even a particular body of knowledge, but as a way of life. They define philosophy as a kind of practice or exercise in the expertise concerning what is beneficial. Once we come to know what we and the world around us are really like, and especially the nature of value, we will be utterly transformed. This therapeutic aspect is common to their main competitors, the Epicureans, and perhaps helps to explain why both were eventually eclipsed by Christianity. The meditation of Marcus Aurelius provided a fascinating picture of a would-be Stoic sage at work on himself. The book, also called to himself, is the Emperor's Diary. In it, he not only reminds himself of the content of important Stoic teaching the important Stoic teaching, but also reproaches himself when he realizes that he has failed to incorporate this teaching into his life in some particular instant. Peace, Brother Chauncey. Today, many people still turn to Stoicism as a form of psychological discipline. Stoicism has never been purely academic, and modern adaptation of Stoic thought seek to carry on this tradition of self-transformation. One of the most influential modern interpretation of means that through which the Stoic philosophizing accomplished such a transformation introduced the notion of spiritual exercise. Heidegger provide a reading of Marcus Aurelius' meditation as a set of such exercise. For a more general treatment covering Stoic philosophy as a whole, see Sellers for a recent discussion on the entire question of philosophy as a way, or rather as many ways, of life in antiquity. All right, so I'm just gonna stop right there. All right, so basically Stoicism is dealing with discipline. So a person that is Stoic, basically, they can come off as being nonchalant, meaning that they come off as being indifferent or neutral. All right. So if you are Stoic, peace, pure black. If you are Stoic, basically you're showing that there are certain things that you can control, and there's certain things that you can't control. Just like the concept of the serenity prayer. Let's look up the serenity prayer. All right, so, and it's for virtue of Stoicism, by the way. So serenity prayer is pretty much a good example of Stoicism. It says, God grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. So when people say those serenity prayers, they realize that there are certain things that's beyond their control, and certain things you just gotta hand it over to God. But you can only deal with whatever you can deal with. Whatever circumstance you can change in your life, you can change them. But you can't change everything altogether. Now, why I come here today is because what I learned from it, I learned that you cannot change how the world is operating as an individual. It would take a collective for the world to actually go through a transition. But you as an individual, you can't control that. So you cannot put so much emphasis and stress on yourself trying to make things right when the problem is going to increase. So what I mean, for example, the things that take place in our neighborhoods, right? In the hood. Yes, you can volunteer your time and you can inspire other individuals, but to do things on a collective scales will take a lot of work. And it can't just deal with you solely because you alone can't do the work. So just like the incident that happened to our brother, young Dolph, may he rest in peace. It's a sad thing that happened. It was very tragic. But at the end of the day, we have no control over that. We don't know what's going to happen, what's going to take place. Because there's the cause and effect in this situation. We don't know why the shooters came into the bakery and decided to open fire on him. But they did. And now the people in Memphis, they are in shock because of this. But Stoics know that, yeah, it's a tragic thing and it's sad, but this is something that's very common that happens in our community a lot. Not just with a rapper, but just individual, period. So it's a common thing that it's a common denominator that that these incidents take place. So we try to say, let's stop the violence, right? You can't stop the violence. As much as you want to, you can't do nothing about it. The only thing you can do, I'm just keeping time here, but the only thing you can do is help to reduce the violence. You can try to impart wisdom. You can try to bring some type of constructivity or bring better ideas to people, but you can't stop the violence because this country, this world is built on the concepts, and humans gonna have violent nature. You just have to be careful and know which ones to deal with. We all got some form of violent nature in us. We just gotta know when and where it is, when it's time to have war and when it's time to have peace. All right. But you dealing with people who don't have the discipline. So what can't you do? You can only control how you live. You can only control your behavior. You can take it as a lesson. And oftentimes, as people of color, as Black folks, we want to try to change everybody, but we can't change everybody that don't want to be changed. All skin folk ain't your kinfolk. So certain folks, you just gotta let them be. Yeah, certain folks, they just gonna be that way till it's time for them to go. So you gotta realize each individuals on this planet have different purpose in life. And their purpose may be different from yours. All right. So the only thing you can do is focus on your own purpose. You can focus on your own purpose and be the example to other people. And another thing that I learned based off of Stoicism, because I've been studying into this for a while, I learned that you can't change people's opinion about you. You can't change how people feel about you. I learned to not be able to change that because what people want is when they say things, especially negative things to you, they want your reaction. And when you give them your reaction, they gonna feed off of that. It's like they become a blood sucker. When they blood sucking your energy, that's what they're doing. They want to continue to suck the blood out of you until you become drained, until you ain't got nothing else left in you. Because that's how people gain power over individuals. The psyche is the most powerful thing. So let me compare and contrast. All right. Physical force and psychological force, what they both have in common, they both deal with force. But the one that is the most dangerous of them all is the psychological force. The psychological force can do more damage than the physical force. Why do I say that? Because you're getting into the minds of the individual. So when you get into the mind of the individuals, then everything else about them is going to be controlled because their psyche is being controlled. I can sit back and recall when I was in school and we learned about the Milligram Experiment. So for those of you that don't know about the Milligram Experiment, you guys need to look it up. Let's look up Milligram Experiment. Okay, so the Milligram Experiment started with Stanley Milligram. The whole purpose of the Milligram Experiment was to bring about some type of obedience to authority. So what they would do is they would manipulate the minds of each participant and have them believe that there's an actual person on the other side of the room that's being tortured. Right? So they will read some questions, and or no, what happened is the person that conducting the experiment will read some questions to them, and they will either answer the question, and if they answer the question incorrectly, they had to touch the device, and whatever it was a different level of the voyage. So the highest number is where that can lead to the death of the individual, and the lowest voyage can only just cause a little minor injury. All right. So anytime the participant answers the question the wrong way or say the wrong answers, they had to push the number that's on the machine, and whatever number they push, then the person on the other side will start screaming louder and louder. And so some people could not continue on with the experiment because they were like becoming psychologically damaged. Like, what the hell is going on? What are you doing to me? But what they did not know is that at the end of the day, they were just part of the research, and that voice they heard screaming was a recording on the other side. It was just a recorder. It was not an actual person that was being literally heard. It was a recorder of the individual making a sound effects, right, to make them think that psychologically they was heard. So I'm just giving you an example of the psychological damage and physical damage. So psychological damage is just as bad as physical damage, if not far more worse. So the point I'm using is, and you guys can look this up on Wikipedia. I got it right here. The information is right here. So Milligram Experiments. I'm gonna talk more about it one day, but I just want to kind of throw that out there. But the point that I'm saying is your psyche, your mind is most important. And you have to protect your mind as much as possible. But if you overload yourself with a lot of stress, with a lot of anger, with a lot of bitterness, it's going to destroy you. It's going to destroy your entire being. And that's the worst thing that you want. It's something that's beyond your control to destroy you. This is why people turn to religion. This is why people turn to spirituality. This is why people get involved in meditation, because they want to be able to learn how to relieve, how to let go, how to accept things for what they are. So I'm getting at my age where I'm learning to accept a lot of things. Whether I like them or not, you gotta accept them. So whether I like what people say or what people do, it is what it is. So to say that you cannot control people's emotion, you can't control how people think of you. You can't control people's thought. Now you can respond to it, but if you constantly sit back and respond, then at the end of the day, they winning because they got the power. They got the power to manipulate you. And if you know what a form of manipulation is, that's gaslighting. They have a power to continuously to gaslight you and continuously to gaslight you until you end up driving yourself crazy, until you end up becoming depressed and you become suicidal. But if you learn how to ignore people and you learn how to just overlook certain things that's not beneficial to you, it won't give them that type of power. So I had somebody put on a comment in YouTube telling me that stop reading materials, don't ever read again, as if I told them to watch my channel or as if I forced them to watch it. At the end, you have a right to your comments, but I have the right to do what I do. So if you choose not to entertain what I do over here, then that's perfectly fine. You don't have to. Don't waste your time watching. But if you wasted your time, then that's your fault. That's not my fault. That's not my fault that you wasted time to watch my videos. And you thought that my video was unproductive or unprofessional, or if you think I am illiterate or whatever the case may be. You wasted your time. So they ain't got nothing to do with me. It got something to do with you. You, for some reason, browse through my channel and you start looking at my videos, and because you don't like how I read something, or you don't like the fact that maybe I stumble over too many words, that you have the right to comment. And you thought I wasn't going to say nothing back, which I did. But at the end of the day, my thing is I can't control how you feel. I can't control who watch my channel. I can't control the views. I don't run the views. That's YouTube. I just post the contents on here. So again, you at your own discretion. You at your own discretion on that one. So you can't blame me because you wasted your time watching my videos. So again, I learned that you cannot control people and you cannot control the events that take place in life. You can only control yourself. You can only control your thoughts and your emotion and your feelings. That's what you can control. So that's why I like Stoicism, because again, it's an art of discipline. It's philosophy, but it deals with a lot of discipline. And I think that a lot of people will be able to learn how to balance themselves more if they become stoic. Now, there's a disadvantage of being stoic, and the disadvantage part is you don't want to be too emotionally detached from everybody, because when you become emotionally detached from everyone, then it can bring off a bad vibe. And that's the worst thing you want to do. You don't want to bring a bad vibe to those who you care about, that you love. You know, you want to have some type of attachment, but you want to be able to balance yourself. That's what you want to do. A person always wants to balance themselves. All right, so let me give you guys some reading materials while you take your day off, or if you on your break, or you getting ready to head to work, or whatever the case may be. All right, so one of the reading materials I have right here is called From Stoicism to Platonism, the Development of Philosophy, 100 BCE, 100 CE. Okay. And then there's another material I want to show y'all real fast. All right. So here's another book that I recommend you guys get. It's called The Little Book of Stoicism. Timeless Wisdom to Gain Resilience, Confidence, and Calmness by Jonas Salgibber. Salgibber. I'm assuming that's a Jewish name. Yeah, you guys need to check this book out. So, and you also can listen to some audio books on Stoicism as well. You just download it on YouTube or whatnot. But those are the two reading materials that I recommend for you guys. On that time where you might be going on vacation, or if you're going to work, or if you're meditating, or if you're just having a day off and you're relaxing. I recommend those books. So, but anyways, I want to thank you guys for taking the time. Those of you that are watching, peace to the chat. I appreciate you guys tuning in, watching this video. And I hope you guys have a productive day. And please be safe. So I gotta go ahead and go. All right. But I will connect with you all later. Come back with some more contents, videos, like I normally do. And we'll just go from there. All right, then. And shout out to the subscribers that's been subscribing to my channel. Shout out to everybody that share my channel, recommend my channel. I really appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm getting better day by day, and that's all that matters. And that's the whole purpose of being stoic, is just learn how to get better, learn how to develop yourself as an individual and be more productive. All right. But anyways, this your girl Tip. I'm logging off and saying have a good afternoon. Peace. Thank you.